All right, thank you. Welcome back to Backstage at the Blues Fest here at the 2015 Baton Rouge Blues Festival. My name is Brett Boutwell, and I'm delighted and honored to be sitting here with some members of the Heritage Blues Orchestra who will be performing this afternoon at the Blues Festival. With me right now is Mr. Bill Sims, Jr. Welcome to Baton Rouge.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Is this your first time playing in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, actually it is.
Yeah, but you've been on tour, I understand, in Lafayette.
Yeah, we were in Lafayette last night and the night before. Had a great time down there at that center.
They treat you well?
Oh, they treated us very well.
All
Fed
right.
us and danced us to death late last
All
night.
right, all right.
We had a good time.
Good. Well, I'm interested in talking to you a little bit about the group and its origins, and maybe a little bit about your excellent Grammy-nominated 2012 album, And Still I Rise. Can you start maybe by telling us a little bit about how this group came together? You've got so much wonderful experience with the members of this orchestra.
Well, our producer, Larry Scholar, I was playing with his brother, Matt Scholar, who's a great harmonica player from Chicago. And he was looking for a group that could cover all the bases of the blues, and could sing. He wanted people who could sing together. And so he inquired to me about it, and the group that we had thought about wasn't able to do it, so we said, well, how about me and my daughter and Junior? Junior was playing at a club that me and my daughter also were playing at in New York called Terra Blues. And so we went in and made a demo, sent it to France, and within a few months we were in France doing a residency, and we did a concert, and from that concert the album was made. We went in the studio, made a record, actually the time that we went and did the residency, and sort of executive produced the record. And we did the record and did songs we really liked, not thinking about how it would sound to other people. We were just trying to please ourselves, and got legs. DJs liked it, they played it, and all of a sudden we got a Grammy nomination, which I wasn't expecting. And then it got more legs, and so here we are. We've been touring off that record for a couple of years now.
And your relationship with Junior Mack and some of the other folks in the band, I mean, I know your daughter, Cheney Sims, who's going to be with us, I hope, soon. I know the relationship there, but how about some of these other musicians? What's your history?
Junior, like I said, we were playing, and you live in a town, and if you're a blues musician, you usually play in the same place as the other guys play. So we played in Terra Blues. They have a house band there called the T Blues Band, and it usually features two guitar players who sing. And so I played with Junior in that group, and whenever I got a chance, I would hire Junior because I just loved his voice, And Junior was one of the people I would go out, leave my house to go here, and Terra Blues. And so, and Kenny Smith, I'd known Kenny. I played in Chicago with Kenny in different bands, and so that was that relationship. And the horn player who did the arrangements on the horn, Bruno Wilhelm.
Yeah, beautiful arrangements.
Yeah, he's from Paris, and so that Larry, our producer, lives in Cognac. And he produces a lot of festivals over there, so he knew Bruno. And the harmonica player also lives in Paris, Vincent Boucher, and so that was the connection with those people.
Yeah. So a band bringing together not only years of experience, but also some geographical differences as well, and different blues scenes, I guess.
It's really an international band. Chicago, New York, New Jersey, Paris, everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I think you answered one of my questions already, which is about the material on your album that you play and the material you play live, which is so amazingly diverse. You remind us that the blues has so many channels and byways in its history, that it's been nourished by so many different types of music and spawned so many others. One critic I read just recently described you as a blues festival unto yourself. So does that come naturally to you, that marriage between the old and the new?
Well, yeah, I started off playing blues as a youngster. That was my first entrance into playing music. I'm a child of the '60s, and blues was very popular. And plus, in my house, my father was a minister, and being black and with Southern roots, that was our music. That was the culture of music. So, and then I went to, as you play, you get better and better, and you start experimenting. I went to music school, learned to play classical stuff, and piano, and started playing a little jazz, and learning more about the music. And the more you learn, the more you learn. And but the thing that was always in my heart was blues. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that we all could do, but we choose to play African American roots music, and there lies the name of heritage. This is our heritage, so we choose to play that music, and
Well, yeah, I mean, you say that, but it's not just heritage, because the tracks on your album, I mean, a lot of them are as old as the Hills, but then you bring to them, at least to my ears, some amazingly innovative and fresh twists, sometimes very surprising twists. Milking material out of these standards in some cases that no one expects, and I think it's one of the great strengths to me of your group.
Well, I think that goes to our diverse listening habits. If you come to my house, you can hear country and western, jazz, reggae, everything. And so Cheney grew up the same way, and I know Junior listens to everyone, And, Bruno Wilhelm, the horn arranger, he plays a lot of avant-garde music in France, and so that mix, and I like that fresh mix, but underneath it all, it's that root. That root is there, but it's grown many ways in this band, so that excites me.
Well, speaking of Cheney Sims and Junior Mack, who are here with us in the room, I'd like to welcome them over if they'd like to join us.
I'm just going to pass the mic right on down the line.
Yeah. So, as you're speaking about the music that you grew up with, and the many forms that it took in your own life, and I guess I can only assume that you passed that along. Cheney, welcome.
Thank you.
How was your experience growing up listening to your father, listening to other musicians, and I assume listening a lot to recorded music of many different kinds? Did that shape you as a musician?
Oh, yes, of course. I remember waking up actually listening to Dad practice the guitar in the morning, and sometimes I was born in the 80s, and one of the songs that was really popular was Walk This Way by Rum DNC and Aerosmith, and he would play that guitar lick. So we've been listening to lots of different types of music. And I grew up listening to that. I grew up listening to Son House and Miles Davis and, Sarah Vaughan, and all of those people influenced me. Yeah. And as well, I listened to hip hop and country and dance music. So yeah, it's all incorporated and part of the stories that we try to tell when we perform.
Wonderful. You mentioned Son House. I mean, one of the joys on your 2012 album, And Still I Rise, is your take on Clarksdale Moan. That's an example of one of many numbers on the album that's surprising and a wonderful treat to listen to.
Junior brought that to the table.
Junior Mack?
Yes, I found out about that recording through a compilation of some rare 78s that were just discovered.
Rare indeed, right?
Yeah. And when I heard it, I said, wow, I think I want to do this, because I do an acoustic solo show as well. And with me, when I hear something, oftentimes within 2 or 3 verses, I know I want to do that. Yeah. But it was a great song, great energy, and I'm still trying to get that same energy from the original recording, as the original recording had. It was just Son House probably in a warehouse in Grafton, Wisconsin. I'm trying to get that same feel, and it's really hard. But I think we do the best we can with it.
Oh, I think you do quite well with it, and I think particularly, your treatments of some of these old tunes, that some of them which are well known, others which are more obscure. But again, the really inventive and sometimes fresh twists that we hear through them. I find myself thinking, I teach students, for a living. I find myself thinking that your album is almost educational. It is educational. I don't know, maybe you're not setting out to do that. You're maybe setting out to entertain and uplift us. But
we want to educate people that the blues is not just a shuffle and a lot of guitar. That it's many things. It's country, it's acoustic, it's field hollers, it's all those things. And from this music that was made by these new people on the planet, from slaves to where we are today, all this music around the world comes from, you know, pop, hip hop, jazz. And so we are trying to educate people, to educate their ears to listen for something a little different sometime, you know.
I'm here with the Heritage Blues Orchestra. We're at Backstage at the Blues Fest at the 2015 Baton Rouge Blues Festival. I've got Bill Sims Jr. and Cheney Sims and Junior Mack from the Heritage Blues Orchestra with me. You mentioned work songs and field hollers. One of the amazing things about your music is that you can take material that some people might say is simple, but you're able to find so much richness and so much variety in it to my ears, and that you know, even a song that doesn't have harmony necessarily becomes a vehicle for creative exploration that can last many minutes without anybody getting tired of it. You want to speak to maybe your creative process and how you developed some of your treatment of that music? Does it come out of playing live, or is it something that you collaborate with kind of together in the studio?
Well, I'll give an example. One of the songs, Get Right Church,
Yeah.
it just so happens I'm a choir director. And you know, when I'm in town, I still have the responsibility of this choir. And I had an arrangement of Get Right Church that I used to do with the choir, and it just so happens that Bill, that was a song that they sang to his father every morning. Bill. Yeah. So it's like the universe kind of aligned things for us to come together and do certain things. So that song in particular has a special meaning.
It just sort of fell off the truck. It was done when we started. Yeah, we sang that song. My father had just passed away that year, and my sisters, we went home and stayed with him in the last month of his life. And also at the graveside, when we left the graveside, I just started singing that song, you know. And then Junior came in with this great arrangement, and it just, like I said, just fell off the truck, and there it was, you know. And we did it, and it's still.
You make it sound so easy.
You know, sometimes things are easy. Sometimes things are easy, and this was easy, and it's one of my favorite songs. I never get tired of singing that song. Never get tired of singing it because it reminds me of my father.
Yeah,
Well,
when we did the album, you know, we all had the songs, as my dad said, there were all these songs that we loved, and some that we had listened to all our lives, some that we had performed, and I had just started performing, actually, and I didn't have a band, and so I started doing work songs because all I needed was myself. And my body to make rhythms, and so that's why we have songs like Go Down Hannah or Sea Line Woman, which are
Sea
very
Line Woman.
traditional.
Your version of Sea Line Woman is astounding. One of your just beautiful pieces on that album, and also one of the ones that seems to bring together so many different influences. Is there West African drumming almost in that? I mean, it's you know, it almost seems like some of your music. I can't quite tell what I'm hearing. You know,
It's West African and everything we did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all West African. I've been to West African, played with a lot of West African musicians, you know, Babacar Troy and Basaku Koyate, and they, it's one thing they all say is that they all like the blues, but they said they all say that Africans can't play the blues. It's a truly African and American thing, but it all comes from West Africa, the scales and stuff. But yeah, it's all West African, and Kenny Smith, who's with us tonight, lays down a terrific rhythm on that, you know, just terrific. He's schooled in many forms of drums as well as, you know, West African drumming.
And some beautiful tuba playing too.
Oh yeah, it's from Clark Gayton plays tuba on the record. Yeah, he's a great tuba player and great trombone player also.
Yeah. You mentioned that your horn arrangements come from, I believe, your saxophonist, Bruno Wilhelm from France, and that's one of the things that adds so much surprise and interest to your recorded album. Are you imagining in the future another album? Is there?
We're working on it right now. We're just in the studio about a month ago. We're in the studio maybe a month ago. Started recording. We recorded 6 songs, and Bruno came over from Paris and. Well, Bruno came over before then. He's worked on the arrangements, and So yeah, we're in the process, and it's going to be more of the same. We're going to go a little deeper, do a little more gospel stuff, some quartet stuff by way of Junior, because that's Junior's thing. I love the quartet stuff. So you're going to hear some different things and some things that you'll recognize too.
All right. And I hope still with everybody singing, because the voices in your music, I mean, we get such diversity of voices, such diversity of approaches to vocalization from all of you.
Yeah, there are plans for all of us singing, actually. That's when we do sound check now. We practice one of the, actually one of the songs that Junior brought to the table that's going to be on the next album, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. So lots of harmony. There's going to be different variations, you know, the full 9-piece, some duet stuff, some quintet stuff. So, you know, keep it dynamic and see the full range again of the entire umbrella of blues and heritage music that we're trying to bring to the table.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I was wondering if I might talk to you a little bit about guitar playing. We got two master guitar players here, but who? But,
one master guitar player.
oh,
I'm going to pass it
well,
to the
very,
person
but
with
with
the
very
guitar.
different styles, and it seems to me that as a whole, the group brings together musicians with a diverse set of skills that makes the whole of the ensemble so wonderful. Junior Mack, can you speak maybe a bit to your background with the guitar, where you picked up the instrument, and who your influences were?
Well, at a very early age, I realized that I loved the sound of the guitar. And I used to have an uncle that used to come over to the house. He was an uncle through marriage. And he played with a lot of gospel quartets. But gospel quartet guitar playing and blues are kind of one and the same. So he would come over. And he'd play things like, that kind of Jimmy Reed kind of stuff. So I would sit there and I would watch him, and then when he would leave, my mother bought me this. They used to call it a tiger guitar. It was a plastic guitar with nylon strings, and I'd get up there and I'd be like, because I was only like, eight and a half years old. But then, I listened to like Lightnin' Hopkins. Pop staples from staple singers, that was always in the house. Other guitar players like Howard Carroll from the Dixie Hummingbirds, Linwood Hargrove from the Swan Silvertones, George Scott from the Five Blind Boys of Alabama. They're all gospel guitar players. And of course, B.B. King. Stuff like that. And Freddie King was another guitar player that I listened to. And then I kind of got a little bit away from that, and I discovered the Allman Brothers and Dwayne Allman, and then I got my rocker side came out.
Yeah.
So between the classic blues guitar masters, the Allman Brothers, Dwayne Allman, and of all people, Jan Ackerman from Focus is another guy that I really admired, and I also admired Wes Montgomery. I just kind of try to roll all those things into one. But that's it in a nutshell.
What an amazing package. And as a musician, all three of you are based in New York City. Is that right?
The New York City metropolitan area.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't say New Jersey. Doesn't sound very bluesy.
Yeah.
But it's the truth.
And have you spent much time playing in the South? Is it a strange experience to be based in the Northeast and to come down here where so much of this music originates?
It's not
Not
for
it.
us. I mean, families migrated from the
of
South
course.
and brought those sounds with them. I mean, I think it's kind of unusual sometimes for other people when we go places and they think, oh, are you from Mississippi? No, I'm from Queens. So they're like, what?
Yeah.
And a lot of people who heard the album who had never seen us before just assumed that we were
Sure.
from the South.
Sure.
So, yeah, it
Well,
makes
as
us a little special.
you say, in a way.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of touring, there's this old notion, and I don't know if it's still true, that blues musicians from America, when they tour in Europe, find a more welcome reception than they often do in the United States. I notice that you've been spending some time in Europe, and I suspect are going to go back soon. What's your experiences? Do you find a welcome reception over there, more so than here?
Yeah, it's much more welcoming, and they're much more, I hate to say this, but they're much more educated about the music than the Americans are. They know the musicians, the people who brought it into being, and they're less forgiving about newer blues, popular blues. It's like some years ago I was playing in Norway, and I wanted to do Thrill Is Gone. The guy said, "That's really modern." But they really want to hear the older stuff, and like I said, they're much more educated about it than a lot of American audiences are. A lot of American audiences hear the blues, they think, like I say, the shuffle, and the boogie woogie blues, and don't know about Memphis Minnie or Mantle Linscomb or people like that, and Roosevelt Sykes. They never heard of that, But these people in Europe and in Japan also, they know those people, and if you don't know them, they look at you like, "Well, you don't know this guy?" Well, no, I don't know every blues musician that ever lived.
Card back.
But it's a different experience in Europe, different experience, as it was 100 years ago with Josephine Baker and Louis Armstrong and Sidney Bechet when they went there. They weren't respected here, but when they went there, they became these huge stars. So that's the plight of African American culture and music in the States.
Well, while we're on that subject, the track on your 2012 album, "A Sea Lion Woman," that we mentioned a moment ago, of course, brings to mind Nina Simone, among others. And there's, of course, a large history of advocacy and of social justice concerns there. There's also in the blues a long history of speaking to important issues that affect people's lives in meaningful ways. Do you feel that that's a part of your music? Do you feel that you're trying to tell people something about the world around them?
I mean, I can't speak for everybody sitting here, but for myself, Sea Lion Woman was definitely one of those choices, as was Go Down Hannah. It wasn't just a nod to the history, but I love Go Down Hannah because it's the only work song that I know of that references women being in the chain gangs, and they were there. And with Sea Lion Woman, it was made famous by Nina Simone, but it's actually a traditional song. And it was captured by the Library of Congress in, I think, the 20s by two sisters, Catherine and Christine Shipp, and they never get spoken, ever. Nobody knows their names, but they're the reason why we have this music. And I wanted to kind of change the lyrics around a little bit to talk about, empowered women taking up space and having a good time, and all the women that I knew, to reflect my story. So that's why I chose it, and it's very important to me.
They're the reason, not Alan Lomax, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you. Well, we have some guests here at Backstage at the Blues Fest here at the 2015 Baton Rouge Blues Festival. In our last few minutes with the Heritage Blues Orchestra, I thought we might ask if there are any questions from the audience for Bill Sims Jr., Cheney Sims, or Junior Mack. We have
questions. Has anybody in the audience heard our record? No.
some enthusiastic hands raised in the back.
Well, thank you.
Well,
Can we get a taste? Can we get a taste of the music?
Well, yeah. I mean, I know we'll get a taste later at 3 p.m. But if they're willing, perhaps maybe something from the new album.
Something from the album that we can't sing.
or something from the old album.
Let the cat out of the bag.
We could do Joliet.
Or we could do Juliet or
No.
or Staples.
Oh, yeah, we could do that.
Let's do
Okay.
Okay.
We'll do all the verses?
We could just do the. We just do the.
do a couple.
Do a couple.
All right.
Some are pushing hard. pushing on until the work is done. It's been a change. It's been a change. It's been a change. This whole world has been a change. There's one thing I want you to know. Things have been, there won't be no more. It may be late, or it may be soon. One of these days, we'll be living on the moon. It's been a change. It's been a change. It's been a change. This whole world, this whole world, this whole world has been a change.
All right.
Just saying.
Thank you so much. Well, I believe that that's it for us here at Backstage for the Blues Fest with our interview with the Heritage Blues Orchestra. And I want to thank them and tell them we're looking forward to hearing them this afternoon at 3 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.